Hello, fellow Murdlers. Today is Saturday, October 5th, 2024, and it's a great day to solve a murder. Again, I don't know what I did. Somehow I captured all of the audio, but none of the visuals. I think I had a different window open or something. And so it's just like hanging out on this screen for 10 minutes of me talking through what I was doing while you couldn't actually see it. So, we're on a visual medium. I'm just going to redo this for everyone's sake. So just to call out that I do know the answer as I'm going through this, but I'll try not to give away any spoilers. So it's Saturday, so we do have statements today, 4 statements, 1 for each of our suspects, and we know that one of these must be a lie and the other 3 must be true. Whomever is lying is our murderer today, and that's how we'll crack the case of the dead venerable leader himself. So let's go ahead and meet today's suspects. We have Comrade Champagne, Earl Grey, Judge Pine, and Silverton the Legend. The weapons today are an angry llama, the big red book, a brick, and a pitchfork. The locations today are the library, the stone bridge, the old mill, and the ancient ruins. And finally, the motives today are to see what it felt like to kill, to win an argument, to break into the industry, and to silence a witness. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our clues and evidence. Comrade Champagne never set foot at the stone bridge. So we can say for Comrade Champagne, the stone bridge is not his location. A weapon made at least in part of paper was brought by the person who wanted to see what it felt like to kill. So that's going to be the big red book made of paper. The others are not made of any paper materials. So we can go ahead and say the big red book had the motive to see what it felt like to kill. Okay, next we have an anagram. Judge Pine brought an angry llama. So Judge Pine had an angry llama. And then this one's very straightforward. Silverton the Legend wanted to silence a witness. So we can put that in there. Now this tells us a few things. We know that Silverton the Legend could not have had the big red book because Silverton the Legend did not have the motive to see what it felt like to kill. And that's associated with the big red book. So we can cross off the big red book for Silverton the Legend as a result. Whoever wanted to break into the industry was a Capricorn. Okay, so let's see here. We've got Capricorn for Comrade Champagne and Earl Grey. So it might be between those two because yes, these two are not Capricorns. So that is breaking into the industry. And so we can cross off Judge Pine for breaking into the industry both here and here for the llama. Because we know Judge Pine is not a Capricorn and therefore could not have had that motive. So the motive is between these two, Comrade Champagne and Earl Grey. A medium weight weapon was found in the library. Okay, so let's look through. We've got heavyweight, 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 and finally medium weight for the pitchfork. So this was found in the library. So we say the pitchfork was in the library. Now, because we have Judge Pine's weapon already, the angry llama, we can eliminate the library as a possible location for Judge Pine. One thing we can do, I think, actually, because this is with the pitchfork, and we know that the weapon to see what it felt like to kill is Big Red Book, what we can't do is we can say that this motive does not belong in the library. Okay, and finally, we are going to see which of these two has the Big Red Book and therefore had the motive to see what it felt like to kill. So let's see the fingerprint clue here. And that is going to be Earl Grey, the only one with kind of this half circle swirl thing here, very different from the others. So Earl Grey stands out immediately as that suspect. So that means Earl Grey had the motive to see what it felt like to kill and had the Big Red Book. And that can also tell us, let's see, do we have any other information other than the library? No, I don't believe we do yet. But we can say Earl Grey was not in the library, so that leaves one of these two to be in the library. Now, we do have one piece of information that we got there through process of elimination. We can say Judge Pine wanted to win an argument. So we don't yet know where Judge Pine was, but we do know that Judge Pine wanted to win an argument and had the angry llama. So we can put that in. We can put in an X here for Judge Pine. We know Judge Pine was not in the library, and therefore the argument motive was not in the library as well. Okay, I think that is everything. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Oh, actually, no, I'm wrong again. We do have this motive to break into the industry that we got since we know now Earl Grey's motive. That left, I think, the 2 Capricorns. So we know that that is Comrade Champagne, who wanted to break into the industry. All right, so let's go ahead and check out our witness statements now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go line by line and see if any of them must be true or must be false, based either on their relationship to one another or from the information we've already gathered in our detective's notebook here. If we can't figure out who the murderer is from there, what we'll do is we'll go line by line and we'll take the inverse of each statement to make it a lie and see if the other 3 can be true in that case. So let's take it from the top. Comrade Champagne is saying that the Big Red Book was in the old mill. Currently, we don't have any information on Earl Grey or the Big Red Book's location. Of course, those 2 are tied together, other than the fact that it's not the library, so that works currently with what we have now for information. Comrade Champagne brought up pitchfork. That seems to be possible, but we don't yet have enough information there. Earl Grey was not at the stone bridge. Again, that could be possible. It's Earl Grey could not be at the stone bridge and then could still be either at the old mill or the ancient ruins. And the Big Red Book was not by the ancient ruins. Okay, so these are 2 that pertain to the location of the Big Red Book. And what we can see from this is because we have 1 in the affirmative and 1 in the negative, this one can be true and cannot be false. The reason this cannot be false is because this is putting the Big Red Book in a different location from this one. So when we take the inverse of this, this says the Big Red Book was by the ancient ruins, and then that would mean we had 2 lies because this would also be a lie in that case. So this one does not have that same challenge because it's in the affirmative already. If we took the negative, this could be true that the Big Red Book was not at the old mill and the Big Red Book was not by the ancient ruins. Those 2 could both be true because that would leave then the stone bridge, I believe, for that possible location. So that means that this one must be true. The Big Red Book was not by the ancient ruins. That is true. So we can say the Big Red Book and also Earl Grey were not by the ancient ruins. Okay, so then let's look at this one. A Big Red Book was in the old mill, so that's possible. Let's try to make this a lie though. So if the Big Red Book was not at the old mill, then the Big Red Book would be at the stone bridge. But I already see an issue with that because, again, we know Earl Grey has the Big Red Book from the fingerprint clue. If Earl Grey is not in the old mill, then in the Big Red Book is not the old mill, then Earl Grey would be at the stone bridge, and that would make Judge Pine's thing also a lie. So that means Comrade Champagne also must be telling the truth. So, and I think actually the same thing happens here as we had with this, where if this is true, if this was a lie, Earl Grey was at the stone bridge, we have another conflict here. So I think by process of elimination, we can say it's Earl Grey. So I'm going to put that in here. And let me just walk through that again real quickly. These all, even though this one's a little different, these technically are all 3 about the location of the Big Red Book. And so we know that we have to have 3 truths. And so since these are both saying where the Big Red Book was not, we know these 2 both probably have to be true because then this one is saying where it was. So since they're not in the same place, this one would be the only one that could potentially be a lie. That said, we know that it can't be because then it would force another lie here. So by process of elimination, we know that it's Earl Grey. So let's go ahead and put this information in. The Big Red Book was in the old mill. So that is true. So Earl Grey was in the old mill. And that works with the Big Red Book and Earl Grey not being at the stone bridge, but being at the old mill. So that means that this is the only one that could be a lie today. So Comrade Champagne will say did not bring a pitchfork. So let's go ahead and put that in. And that means by process of elimination, Comrade Champagne had the brick and Silverton the Legend had the pitchfork. So when we put that in, let's see what else we get from that. That would mean that Silverton the Legend was in the library with the pitchfork. And we know that Silverton the Legend had the motive to silence a witness. So that puts Comrade Champagne wanting to break into the industry by the ancient ruins by process of elimination there. And that puts Judge Pine at the stone bridge with the angry llama. Okay, so there's our full grid all filled out. I'm just going to take an extra moment and fill out this last one just to make sure we've got everything correct. But in the meantime, I'm going to put in Earl Grey with the big red book. Let's see, in the old mill? Yes, in the old mill to see what it felt like to kill. So I'll go ahead and flip these over. And again, before we see if we're right, I'm just going to take another moment and fill out the rest of the grid here. All right, there's everything all filled out. And once more, we have Earl Grey with the big red book in the old mill to see what it felt like to kill. Let's go ahead and see if we were right. All right, we were right. Thanks so much for playing along with me today. I hope you will especially enjoy this threat. To have somebody boiled in a bag, honestly, might be my new email sign off. It probably will get me in trouble, but it's tempting. But again, hope this was a helpful walkthrough, and we will see you tomorrow.